special event alert.
Oh, my son threw his shoes outside the back window of my car.
Which is excuse number 57 for being late for Changeover, your weekly space news and variety show. I'm Barney Smith, your host, and I'm joined by our puzzle princess, Anna Mondragon.
That was my audience laugh.
That was good. You have your own little following. I like it. Yeah. And our very own Mr. History, Eric Woo!
Man, I was checking the newspaper today, make sure I still had a job as a federal employee. Oh, that's right.
You're not a federal employee. You're a retired son of a bitch is what you are. We're here to bring you the latest headlines and updates pertinent to all Guardians and to the other lesser branches as well. So take your seats, get informed, and have a laugh as we present Late for Changeover.
I like it.
I even forgot the audience clap. Oh, we should have used your audience clap. Good to see you. I don't know where our long lost Jake Wall is. I hope he's okay.
Yeah, because he usually sends a text or something.
Yeah, but nothing. So maybe I got to go do a. What was it when you would call somebody to go check on somebody?
Welfare check.
Welfare check. That's it. Did you ever have to do that? Did you ever get a call for that? Really?
Oh yeah.
Did you ever get were you reluctant to like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to see in here or what? Whatever happened with that?
Ran into a suicide on a welfare check.
Yeah. On base or off base?
It was in Korea.
Jeez.
Yeah. Hung themselves from the stair banister.
Oh my God. And then, tied it off and then leaped over. Oh,
I don't even think it was leaped. I think they actually just kneeled or maybe came off a chair or something. I mean, the chair wasn't there. There was nothing there. It was just him on his knees, slapped forward with the knot.
Oh man. Did anybody prep you and go, hey, you never know what you're going to see in here or something like that? Or was it just open the door and it's right?
That's part of training. You're always prepared. They're preparing you for the worst scenarios, especially with the welfare. Sure. You might be coming across an emergency, heart attack, whatever. So, usually we go in first, and then there would be some type of first responder, medical, just in case.
Oh wow, yeah.
So,
well, geez, sorry, I didn't mean to start the show that way, but at least you brought Korea. We have a story about Korea, so maybe we could turn it around. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to see you both. Hope you guys having a good week. The weather's warming up a little bit, so I don't know if that's going to sucker us in for our March
golf T-shirt. Golfing today,
You went golfing?
I went golfing. Plum Creek.
What'd you shoot?
Well, we did a best ball. Me and my partners, we shot 79. Pretty good. 6 over.
Yeah, but you're doing best. You're just hitting from.
We both hit a ball and then we go to the best shot. Correct.
Yeah.
All
right. Well,
so we played fairly well. It was my card against the other guys in the other card, so it was cool. We had a good time.
Oh, another guys. Huh. Okay. All right. Well, shit.
Sounds amazing. It's a beautiful day.
Good time. Good time. Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
Got a little windy. Was it windy down the springs, Anna?
I don't know. I wasn't outside all day.
Oh, it was windy in Castle Rock.
You know how to carry a conversation on. Let me tell you.
No, I was. I worked from home today, so it was just me and.
Oh, how many days a week do you work from home?
2.
Oh man,
2.
Well,
it's good life.
I'm lying.
All this banter is just too much to keep up with. So, let's get to the news then. All right.
Right on.
As you know, recently, right? President Trump fired the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General.
Why?
Charles Q. Brown Jr. fired him, right? Get out of here. And he nominated a retired Lieutenant General Dan Cain, which is interesting, but not unprecedented. Well, it may be unprecedented in this situation. However, from Task and Purpose, our first story is, let's get to know Lieutenant General Dan Cain. All right. Cain. So I thought it was pretty interesting. And one of the things that I think is pretty neat. I'm going to flip you guys because no, I'm not going to flip you guys. Last year, we talked to a National Guard general who was a helicopter pilot. He came on a couple of times. And he went all the way up. He worked at the Pentagon. He got a star and was like the deputy National Guard guy in the state, I think. Or maybe he was a primary guy. I can't remember. Anyway, so it's interesting that this guy that Trump nominated, Lieutenant General Dan Cain, was himself an Air National Guardsman.
Huh.
So
that is interesting. They'd go with a reserve guy.
Well, a guard guy, right? Or does that make no difference to you? You put them both in the same bucket. You arrogant active duty prick.
No, then they have a different experience. They have two skill sets versus one.
That's
true. He doesn't just have the military. He has
the state,
some sort of state. And okay, so you can argue there's three. Whatever he did in his civilian life.
Oh yeah, right. Lieutenant General John Daniel Cain is poised to become the first Air National Guardsman elevated to the nation's highest uniformed role. Cain's guard status is one of several ways he is an unusual, though not quite unprecedented, pick for chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He is retired. He was never a four-star general, and he never held one of the major roles typically required for chairman, meaning Trump must grant him a waiver to take on the job. Still, it seems likely the Senate will approve his nomination and make him the 22nd chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. So this is Lieutenant General Dan Cain. Right? Good-looking guy.
Familiar.
He looks familiar?
Yeah. Whoa. I don't know why. Doesn't he look like someone that we served with in the past? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I mean, he's kind of got a kind of common looking face, I think, really, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, there's nothing that sticks out.
No, and he does look like an enlisted guy or two that maybe all of us may have worked with at one time or another.
He kind of looks like Brett.
He looks like everybody. Yeah. Under the Goldwater-Nichols Act of 1986, which reorganized the senior military leadership of the U.S., the chairman must be a four-star general or admiral selected from among the vice chairman, the service chiefs, or the combatant commanders. That provision was included in part to ensure that a candidate had the necessary cross-service seasoning and diplomatic skills that come with speaking for the entire U.S. military, often with foreign leaders. However, the law also included a provision giving the president latitude to choose someone who does not meet the criteria, saying he or she can waive the requirements of the president to determine such action is necessary in the national interest. Similarly, while Cain, 56, retired at the end of 2024, he would not be the first general recalled to service. President George W. Bush recalled General Peter Schoonmaker from retirement to serve as Army Chief of Staff in 2003.
I remember Schoonmaker.
Schoonmaker, yeah, I do too.
The dogs did too, didn't they?
Whoa. Oh, there's my dog. Dan Cain was a F-16 pilot in 1990, along with his economics degree from Virginia Military Institute, VMI. Cain earned a commission through the AFROTC and won a coveted spot in the Euro-NATO undergraduate pilot training program. Before completing pilot training, though, Cain worried that he might become a quote-unquote banked pilot. Have you ever heard that? I haven't heard that.
Banked pilot.
A banked
stuck in that stuck in that role, I guess.
Well, yeah, sort of. He might become a bank pilot. One sent to a non-flying job as the Air Force downsized. Let's see. And early 90s, that was starting that rift. That was starting Clinton's rift there. He said last month on the Afterburn podcast, so he applied to 85 guard units and was picked up by the 174th Fighter Wing in Syracuse, New York. He later served with the D.C. Air Guard. He deployed several times in the Middle East, flying with Operation Southern Watch, Enduring Freedom, and Iraqi Freedom, and helped lead the Scud Hunt operation in Iraq. Of his 2,800 flying hours, more than 100 were in combat. Anna's good on the mute button tonight, boy. She's really good.
You see his face? I was like,
I know, but she held it cool until I was like, how did she shut the dogs up? 2,800 flying hours, more than 100 were in combat. Cain was one of the commanders of the operation to defend Washington, D.C. in the immediate aftermath of the September 11, 2001 attacks on the Pentagon and the World Trade Center in New York. So, God, he's been in some key areas at the right time.
Sure.
From 2005, what's that?
I'm curious. Do you believe, or do you know if the Secretary of Defense, the new one, Hegseth, does he have a say to President? Hey,
I don't know.
President Trump, here's my selection. What do you think?
Oh, that's a good point. That's
what their involvement is. Because this guy is certainly older than Hegseth. You would think.
You would hope that he would have a vote, right? He would. Yeah. Trump would go, "Hey, what do you think?" Right?
I've got to get along with this guy.
Sure. But I don't know how Joint Chiefs and SecDef really interact. I have no idea how that works. The only way I remember sort of a relationship was Powell and
Schwarzkopf.
He was a commander on the ground, but was Powell chairman? Was he chairman of the Joint Chiefs, or was he National Defense? I don't remember. So I still don't know how all those interact, right?
Colin Powell.
Why are you looking it up? From 2005 to 2006, he served as a White House fellow with the Department of Agriculture, where much of his time was spent in the government response to Hurricane Katrina. He then moved to the position of Policy Director for Counterterrorism on the White House Homeland Security Council through 2008, describing the job as coordinating interagency efforts against terrorism. What do you got, Eric?
I don't have it yet. I'm looking.
Oh, my goodness.
He then served a stint as commander of a Joint Special Operations Task Force in Iraq, but moved back and forth between Special Ops and the D.C. Guard for a number of years. He also worked in Special Operations Command for a number of years, serving as assistant to the SOCOM Vice Commander and Assistant Commanding General, Joint Special Operations Command. From 2018 to 2019, he was Deputy Commanding General of U.S. Central Command's Special Ops Component and Deputy Commanding Officer of Special Operations Joint Task Force in Iraq concurrently. So remember, he's doing all this special ops, and he's an Air Force guy. So that's got to tell you something, right? He must have a pretty great personality when you get around him, and he must have a pretty good mind, I think.
Yeah.
Well, and you would have to believe that Trump has some advisor that said, "Hey, you truly need to look at this guy based on experience and involvement." I don't think Trump would have just, let's pick this guy.
No, I want to believe that he does listen to some advice and not just like, hey, I'm taking this guy. He was good to me.
Trump's really good at surrounding himself with the wicked smart.
Let's hope
I hope so this time, because first time around he was terrible at it.
Was he?
Oh yeah, all the people he got, he replaced half of them, maybe more than half. I don't know.
Powell was the chairman of Joint Chiefs.
Oh, he was the chairman. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So in 2018, when he was out in Afghanistan, there's another picture of him. And I can't remember who that. He's obviously a foreign commander. I can't remember of who, though.
He's the Queen of Hearts on the death cards. Oh, sorry. No, that's
it was during his time, 2018, 2019, when he was over in Iraq. It was during that time that President Trump met Cain in 2018 during Operation Inherent Resolve, the campaign against the Islamic State group. Trump said he came away from the encounter impressed that Cain believed the conflict could be resolved quickly by observing less restraint in air attacks. Cain's career then took him into highly secretive jobs where he worked as a director of special programs at the Pentagon Special Access Programs Office and later as the Pentagon's liaison to the CIA, which was his last government posting.
Wow.
Then he retired, and in the private sector, he co-founded a regional airline and other businesses. After retirement, he joined Shield Capital, a firm that works in cybersecurity. Air Force personnel that served with and under Cain described him as thoughtful, pragmatic, and occasionally a hard ass, enforcing high standards among the troops. One pilot called Cain apolitical and said his non-traditional career will serve him well. He will not come in with a bias regarding the services, having developed strong appreciation for all service contributions during his special operations experiences. So, what do you think about Trump choosing somebody? I don't know. What do you think about them not? I'm sorry. It's so fun. What do you think about him not choosing like somebody who's next in line? Maybe who's put
an
in
existing
the work?
4-star that was already in place.
A combatant commander. He checked all the blocks, and then all of a sudden, hey, this guy had a beer with him in 2018, and he remembered him and was bringing him back.
Well, the one thing I know and what I've seen based on his new administration is there's nothing traditional about it.
That's true.
I mean, all his selections.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
There was a question mark, and then they had to defend their record. They had to defend who they were. So I think that it's just a continuation with this guy. Now, certainly listening to his bio from you, I think Cain has certainly got the needs and experience from what he's done to do the Joint Chiefs.
Well, and at least as far as like enlisted leaders, and it probably holds a little bit true for the officers, when you get up into those staff positions, it's kind of, who likes you, who doesn't like you? Are you hooked to the rising star? Because what are you doing at that point? You're really not, you're not leading anybody. You're not making any progress. So it's at that point, it kind of becomes who's the favorite. And maybe that leads to maybe not the best guys that we have up in there. I mean, it still shocks me that we went through Afghanistan 3 years ago now, right? Yeah. Nobody got fired for that. Nobody got fired. That is crazy.
Well, Trump's correcting that right now.
Oh, yeah, he's firing everybody.
My concern truly is the same thing I said with Hexes. You have got to be in those positions. You've got to be much more of a strategic, big picture thinker, right? It just can't be a tactical thing. It's got to be big picture. You got to understand the consequences of different forces, different countries.
Budgets.
Yeah. But, I mean, the whole 9 yards. So as long as he's got the ability to be that big picture thinker, I think we should be good.
Yeah. I mean, well, we had all the people who've been groomed. And foreign policy hasn't looked great. Our military hasn't looked great. You had, think about the last 3 years. You had Afghanistan. Nobody lost anything for that. You had historically low recruiting numbers.
Yep.
Nobody did anything about that. Nothing happened to him. And he's just like, what is going on? Why are we still doing status quo? So,
no accountability, man.
Yeah.
He's definitely walking in with some terrific credibility.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Yeah. But now, can you imagine that room? Can you imagine the hate coming from the other 5 services just sitting there just like, you son of a bitch, right?
It was the same way with Hexes, though.
It was earmarked for me. I've worked my entire career for this position.
Right. And he's a guardsman.
Yes.
Look how mean Eric is to guard and reserves.
You know what I was going to say? Guys, that reflects really well on the guard, though. Holy cow! Come on, man. And I told you how impressed I was with Petty.
Brigadier Petty. Yeah, very good.
So those guys have some extremely highly qualified guys for sure.
Well, and it makes you wonder too, because even though he was guard, it didn't sound like he ever had a break. So maybe he was AGR,
was continuous, probably.
Or just one assignment after another with continuous orders. Because that's what Petty was. I mean, that's how Petty did it. He just kept taking assignments and 2 years, 3 years, 2 years. He just added up to a whole career. So
smart people, man.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. So I think that's kind of cool, really. To be honest with you. I'm all for doing a different system.
When the past hasn't worked, let's do something different.
Yeah, let's try something new. We can always go back to the old way. That's easy.
Yeah.
So speaking of guard, look how much guard we've done. We did guard stories last week. We did started off with the guard story, second guard story, right?
What you're trying to tell me is we need a war for our active duty guys, right? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying we had 20 years of that, Eric.
Why are the guardsmen bringing up so many different articles? Why are they trying to bring attention to themselves? Ooh, what is the guard up to?
Well, when you put it that way,
it's kind of like we were talking about, Coast Guard, National Guard. When you're doing stuff domestically, sometimes you're doing more stuff than, hell, I had 10 years in the Army. I didn't see one shot fired. You know what I mean? And these guys are doing more stuff in the guard than I ever got to do. I filled sandbags and shit. So anyway, this next story is from Task and Purpose. So I think this might be 2 weeks ago now, because I think it was the week before. So, but in a single day, National Guard troops in Kentucky airlifted 296 people trapped by floods. Did you ever hear about any floods in Kentucky?
I did. I mean, I saw the flooding. It was pretty horrific.
Oh, you did? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It's on the news.
What were you going to say, Anna?
Serious water.
Did you ever hear of 296 people living in Kentucky?
Oh, that's a West Virginia joke.
All right. Who's a Kentuckian? You know a Kentuckian?
Seriously. I know the senator from Kentucky who's getting ready to retire next year.
Rand Paul's from Kentucky too, right?
Well, I was talking about the old guy that's going to retire soon.
No.
He wasn't the speaker for a while or leader.
Oh, Mitch McConnell? Is he from Kentucky? Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize he was from Kentucky. Who are you talking about, Anna?
I don't know any people from Kentucky. Is my point. I know no one.
That's funny.
Well, rest assured, even if you don't know them, they're getting saved by the National Guard. So
nice.
Airmen and soldiers with the state's National Guard evacuated 296 people from a pair of housing complexes that had become mired by flooding in Martin County, Kentucky. Now, I tried to find out more about this story. I couldn't. There's just this one story out there, unfortunately, because I would have liked to hear how they did this, because the first floors of both apartment buildings were flooded, forcing the occupants to gather on the second floor. The airlift came after flooding across the state closed down more than 300 roads and claimed the lives of at least 14 people. Flying in Blackhawks from the Kentucky Army National Guard's 63rd Theater Aviation Brigade, airmen with the State Air National Guard's 123rd Special Tactics Squadron airlifted the residents and transported them to Big Sandy Regional Airport in DeBoard. So if the first floor flooded, how were they picking? Were they going to the roof, I assume?
No, they had to be. Yeah.
I thought maybe there was a picture of them like, Vietnam airlift, they're on the roof loading into the helicopter after helicopter getting flown out of there.
I didn't see any pictures of that, but I saw the flooding and it was really freaking
terrible.
It was terrible.
Obviously fast too, because it came up pretty. Yeah.
And it was high.
So it's like, grab your shit. We got to go to the second floor.
Got to get out of here, man.
Crazy, man. At the same time, members of the Kentucky Air National Guard's 123rd Contingency Response Group processed evacuees at a passenger terminal. They stood up on the spot. This is the same unit that in just 18 days helped process 11,000 refugees from 88 aircraft when they arrived in the U.S. after fleeing Afghanistan in 2021 during the Kabul airlift. So back with Afghanistan, we were just talking about, this same unit received all these refugees. And so, man, they got a couple of years worth of
that was horrific, man.
Events. Overall, the flood response mission has involved National Guard personnel from 3 states, Kentucky, Indiana, and Tennessee, as well as support from first responders. This rescue mission added to the more than 1,000 Kentuckians who have been rescued by our Guard members, and with the assistance of Kentucky state people and other local, state, and federal partners. We are so proud of you and so thankful these families are now safe, said Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear. The Kentucky National Guard is roughly 170 soldiers and airmen involved in flood relief efforts, which began 2 weeks ago. So good on them, man. They flew all those people out. That's really cool.
170 people rescued 296 people.
Yeah, very good. Well, not all 170. A lot of them maintainers just waiting for those guys to come back. True. And they're playing spades until they come back, and they're like, okay, time to turn the wrenches. But they get credit. I'm sure they get credit. So, what are you looking up, Eric? You're looking up something.
I was trying to send you a picture of a car in the flood.
Oh, yeah.
Link.
Then was it from a river, or was it crazy rainfall?
It was the winter storm that blew through here.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, really?
Up too.
I didn't realize it caused all that flooding in Kentucky. That's crazy.
I didn't know that either until I read it.
Inquiring minds want to know, Anna.
You're like, wait a minute, what happened?
Crazy.
Okay, so Eric, Anna, did you ever go over to Korea?
South Korea.
Thank you, Anna, for correcting that. Eric had enough. He couldn't take that joke anymore. Jesus. Where'd it go?
I don't know. He was pushing too many buttons. He was trying to send you that article.
That could be. Yeah, that could be. He's not.
That's what he was doing. He was trying to send the article and probably clicked out.
Does this say end or send? I think it's send end.
Anywho.
Anna said you hit end when you were trying to send. So
I think so. It didn't work.
All right, let's try this again. Anna, have you ever been to Korea?
I have. South Korea.
Not North Korea. South Korea.
I had to think that through. I was like, would you ever go to North Korea? I'm like, think about this.
No, okay, we all got it. You didn't get it. We all got it. Well, and Eric was stationed over there. What year was that you were over there, Eric?
87 to 88.
God. They were still taking pot shots at each other across the DMZ at that time.
Yeah, well, 87 to 88.
This next story from stripes.com. And for the longest time, right, everybody knew Korea was a year. Maybe a year plus if you had to do something else, right? It's your one tour you trade in for base of record when you come back, or base of choice when you get back.
Yeah.
Right? Well,
base of preference.
Base of preference. Thank you.
BOP.
The Pentagon, and a couple of years ago they started allowing people to take families. Certain people, you had to petition for it. But for those who have families, the Pentagon is extending the tour length for troops bringing families to South Korea. All right. The Pentagon has tacked a year onto the length of a tour of duty for service members who bring their families with them to South Korea. Troops on accompanied tours, those who bring their spouses or dependents with them to South Korea, are now expected to serve 36 months in the country, according to a February 11th memo from Tim Dill, Assistant Secretary of Defense for Manpower and Reserve Affairs. So you know what that's from. It's like, look at all the moves we save.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you stay for 3 years. So I didn't realize they had extended that 1 year thing to 2 years, essentially.
I didn't.
And now it's 36 months.
So it's a long tour. So it's not really.
It's a normal tour. Yeah, it's just
long
a regular
tour.
rotation.
It makes sense if they're going to spend so much money to move you and your family over there.
Right, like, we're going to keep you there for 3 years.
Europe is 3 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Service members on unaccompanied tour or on accompanied tours were previously expected to stay 2 years. Not all service members are eligible for accompanied tours. U.S. Forces Korea, which oversees approximately 28,500 troops on the peninsula, approves accompanied tours based on its needs and resources. If approved, families are housed in apartment complexes in or close to U.S. military bases. Unaccompanied troops serve a year in South Korea and typically live in barracks. So it's still a year tour for the single troops, or if you choose not to bring your family, I guess.
Yeah. Well, the status of forces agreement, the whatever the acronym is for status of SOFA, has limits, caps between
how many can be there,
how many can be in country. Yeah.
How many Americans or how many
service members?
Military. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's a cap.
You'd think they'd adjust that with all the Marines getting drunk, winding up on second floor balconies downtown Seoul or wherever they are.
I guess you can't really figure those into the numbers. How many drunk Marines are we going to have this year? Oh,
Anna, we did like 3 stories on that last year. It was crazy. Actually, it was in Okinawa. It was most of them were Okinawa. Yeah,
Japan.
Soju makes you crazy.
Yeah,
it does. This policy adjustment aims to provide greater continuity within USFK while fostering stronger ties between service members, their families, and the local community. The extended tour length is expected to enhance operational efficiency by reducing turnover and increasing mission effectiveness. So it's like,
I can see that.
You're taking me with you, honey. And it's like, okay, now we got to stay 3 years. Oh, shit. I'm going to listen to you complain about Korea for 3 years now.
Yeah, but some of them just love the shopping. You can walk down.
That's true.
Outside the gate of Osan and go crazy with, or have something made.
Anna, what'd you go over there for? Did you go over there for an exercise?
I did. Yeah, it was.
What was the exercise? Ulti focus lens.
Key resolve. Oh, Ulti.
Yeah, yeah. So whenever we knew somebody was going over, you'd load them up and be, go get the fakey coach person or whatever and bring them back, right?
Yep. Yeah.
That was quality stuff, man.
Or those mink blankets. Those mink blankets are.
Oh man, I had one with this big tiger with stripes on it. My wife hated it, but that thing was the warmest freaking thing. I had that on the
mink blanket. Really?
Oh yeah.
They're
like wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
I have one.
Really cool.
Do you have one?
Yeah, it's all flowers.
Oh wow.
See, mine was like tiger.
Yeah, that's
very manly blanket,
Sure. A manly mink blanket. There you go.
Tiger on it.
Look how tough
it
my
was,
tiger blanket is.
The only women that would own that is like Charlie's Angels or something.
Ooh, Charlie. I'm Charlie. Just call me Charlie.
I mean, you could put Mr. that in some of your OnlyFans pictures. That would be a pretty seductive pose.
Good call. I didn't even think about that.
Background.
There you go. Come see Mr. History and Mink.
Tiger blanket.
That's hot.
So disgusting. The Army in August doubled that tour for unaccompanied troops in 7 career fields. So even if you're unaccompanied, if you're in these career fields, you get 2 years. Air traffic control, UH-60 Black Hawk repairers, military dog handlers, counterintelligence agents, signal intelligence analysts, and CID, enlisted and warrant officer special agents. So criminal investigation division.
Yep.
God, they're keeping those guys over there for 2 years.
Huh.
Camp Humphreys, about 40 miles south of Seoul in Pyeongtaek City, has built new housing in anticipation of more residents. Now, listen to how much they spent, how much it produced. In June, the base, the largest overseas U.S. military installation, opened 2 new barracks with room for more than 600 single soldiers. Okay. The pair of 8-story, $67 million towers are next to Humphreys River Bend Golf Course and include 151 suites that each accommodate 2 tenants. Did you ever play that course, Eric?
Wow. I have not. Nope.
Sounds
I played
amazing.
a softball tournament at Humphreys.
Of course you did.
Yeah,
The base also opened 3 $141 million housing towers for families they opened up in last September. Combined, $141 million. Combined, they contain 144 3-bedroom, 54 4-bedroom, and 18 5-bedroom units, and an underground parking garage. It doesn't seem like that much for 141 million, to be honest with you. Seems like there would be more, but.
So what was the total number? Did it say what the number?
Let's see. It just gave the number of apartments. So 144 3-bedroom apartments, 54 4-bedroom, and 18 5-bedroom. Yikes.
Well, I wonder who gets the 5-bedroom.
Who's hauling their kids? All their kids
5?
There for 5.
Yeah.
They need a playroom.
That's I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. So interesting that they're gonna throw that out there. Korea always made sense to me. I always thought that during that 20 years, we should just plop a base down in, Afghanistan or Iraq. Iraq would have made more sense. Just put a base there and do a year tour. Right?
Tour. Yeah.
That would have been perfect. And we wouldn't have to have a constant war. You just got a rotation over to Iraq.
Yeah.
We did in Germany, we did in Korea. We've done it
everywhere. But they didn't want it to feel like an occupying force. I mean, that's what it would have been.
Well, I guess
it wouldn't have been an agreement.
Yeah, I suppose not.
I wonder how much more the community would be affected if we were to put a base in Iraq or in South Korea. You know what I mean? Like how different that mindset would be on both sides.
Because Korea was like, okay, we were friendly with the South Koreans. They wanted us there. Germany, we just did it. they had to suck it up, right?
That's the end of World War II, and we just stayed.
Right, we just stayed.
We're not leaving.
Yeah, you're right. Iraq might be a little bit different. They were like, we don't want you here. We're not friendly to you. So we're staying.
Make room. We're coming.
Love that shawarma.
I mean I guess the base that we did have that we abandoned. I mean, that was there for damn near 10 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to a certain extent, that's exactly what it was, just a rotational freaking assignment.
Right.
What did they do with that base? I wonder, thinking about it.
Well, it's taken over. It was taken
over.
I think it was, there was something I heard about that base. What was it? What was
recycling site? A recycling site.
Bagram.
Right? I don't know. There was something. I don't want to say it because when I heard it, I was like, "Oh my god!" It was something with the Chinese and something with its location, and it was like, "Are you kidding me?" It was key territory,
facilities,
that we gave up. Yeah,
weapons, vehicles,
dumb. So
amazing.
Okay. At last story. Good news for Boeing. Finally, right?
They're terrible.
No, it's not good news.
Terrible.
From Air and Space Forces Magazine.com. Irked by Boeing. Oh, shoot. Here, hold on a second.
Look at that. It's a running.
I didn't mean to do the ticker.
I like it scrolling, though.
Do you want me to scroll it? All right.
Yeah.
All right. From Air and Space Forces Magazine comes this story. Irked by Boeing, Trump eyes alternatives for new Air Force One. I love that. Irked by Boeing.
Irked.
Because that's about right. President Donald Trump raised the possibility of major changes to the Air Force One replacement program in the face of persistent and growing delays. Now, this is kind of amazing article when you hear the stats and why Trump's saying what he is. Speaking with reporters, Trump confirmed he is frustrated with the planned VC-25 Bravo replacement program and with prime contractor Boeing. Trump said, "I'm not happy with Boeing." I wish I could do a voice. Wouldn't that be great if I could?
You're pretty close, though.
I'm not close at all. I wish I was. I'm not happy with Boeing. It takes them a long time to do Air Force One. We gave that contract out a long time ago as a fixed price contract, and I'm not happy with the fact that it's taken so long. And we may do something else. We may go and buy a plane or get a plane or something. Right?
Woo!
So you're like, why is Trump all down on Boeing? Well, Boeing has been working on a replacement for the current VC-25 Alpha Air Force One jets since 2015. During Trump's first term.
It's a decade.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he took an interest in the program, first expressing displeasure with the price, then announcing a new deal worth $3.9 billion for 2 aircraft. In 2018, he cut that deal his first term in 2018 and revealing plans for a new paint scheme in 2019. The program continues to suffer delays, however. So he gave that's what's crazy. He gave that contract out during his first term.
Wow.
He gets impeached twice. He gets shot at. He gets unelected, goes 4 years, gets back reelected. You know, the Boeing guys are like,
no plane.
Shit, he's going to ask us about Air Force One.
No plane. Dude, so, think about that. I saw the interview with Hannity when he was talking, and he said, during World War II, we could turn out a bomber, an actual B-17 or whichever one he was talking about, in a 2-month period. Right. And you can't turn out an Air Force One in 10 years? What the hell?
Right.
Come on.
And it's, man, Boeing has really had a bad few years, right?
Bad, man. They just can't do anything right. And no consequences, though.
No.
Accountability pisses me off.
Yeah.
They should be fired.
When they're that
big.
They
haven't gotten any consequences? No fines or...
I don't know.
Congress stopping.
But maybe that's why Trump is finally like, I'm calling them out. They're not going to do it.
Revoke that contract from them.
So the program continues to suffer delays. The Air Force settled on 2 Boeing 747-8 airframes and hired Boeing to be the systems integrator for the many extensive modifications needed to transform a base's commercial jetliner into a, quote, mobile West Wing. The goal was to field new aircraft by 2024, but cost has grown and the schedule has slipped. Boeing says it has absorbed more than $2 billion in costs and now suggests delivery could take as much as 4 more years.
See, that's crap.
Oh my goodness.
I guess we got to go knock on Elon Musk's door and say, can you build me a plane?
He'd probably do it in under a year. I bet he would. Yeah,
he could.
Could you how many disclosure statements that Elon Musk has had to sign?
Oh yeah, right, right.
1,000 million, right? Sure. Like so many. And I don't know how he could even keep it straight in his head. Oh, I can't discuss that with you.
Oh, if we could do Trump's voice, because this quote is so Trumpy, right? He said, now supposedly Boeing's losing a lot of money and they'd like to see if they could up the price. But I like fixed price contracts. That's so Trump, man. Airbus is the only other manufacturer that makes such large aircraft. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize it was like Boeing and Airbus are the only 2 in the world. But Trump dismissed the idea of turning to Boeing's European rival, saying he would not consider Airbus.
And it's a European based.
Yeah. He said, I won't buy. But then he said, well, maybe we can buy a used one. Right? And it doesn't make any sense. His comments are right. Boeing declined to comment. An Air Force spokesperson asked whether the White House has directed the Air Force to look at alternatives, said only that Boeing is expected to deliver an updated integrated master schedule to the Air Force in the spring of 2025. It doesn't mean that they're going to get the plane anytime soon.
No, absolutely
we'll give you a schedule. How about that?
Could you imagine if you're the guy that's responsible for a piece of the schedule? Be like, I don't want this job anymore. You're mine.
The only contract you can start on and actually retire from at the same time.
Sounds like
you're never going to get the fucking product done.
You're never going to get there. Yeah, you're never going to get there. So
freaking crazy.
In its latest budget request, the Air Force projected initial operational capability for the first aircraft in mid-2028. And some media outlets have reported that date might slip further to 2029. That would put the program 5 years behind its original timeline and drag out to 14 years, the time from program start to delivery of just 2 jets. God damn.
Okay, so here's a question for both of you.
Oh my goodness.
Let's think about this for a minute. So Trump's been talking about the education level of the United States for a number of years, how poorly we're educated.
Correct.
Would you believe that this could reflect upon our abilities to manufacture an airplane anymore?
Yeah, it could be.
Do we not have an uneducated group of scientists?
We're much more intelligent, and therefore we overthink the things that we could do.
So you're going to go the other way.
Either one could be right, or it's just a fleecing program. You know, I mean, we always laugh at, NASA pays $1,000 for a hammer, but it's really the government procurement, right?
Sure.
But Boeing has been, look, they mismanaged Starliner. They've now these jets. It's like, wow, what are they doing, man?
So you think it's a systematic problem?
I think it could be. I think this
I'm
one
beginning
could
to
be.
think that as well.
Yeah.
You're the people you're getting, because again, we used to be, 50s and 60s, a manufacturing company. We could build and produce.
Right.
Now it seems to be a struggle for anything we try to produce and manufacture.
Well, and I think there's a lot of factors to that. There's regulations, for one, right? Depending on what state you're going to be in.
But weren't those there in the 50s and 60s?
I don't know. I don't think to the
how about
level.
Our enemy's technology too, trying to.
Well, there's that. Yeah, sure. There's that. There's outsourcing. There's cheaper parts. But I mean, look at like California, for example, trying to rebuild all the regulations they got to go through to even get their lot cleared. They're not even allowing them to clear their lots right now. Yeah. So now that's California. I think Boeing's in California, isn't it? Now I don't know
if it's home. I don't know. I know there's a facility there.
Right. I don't know if regulations play anything on that, but I'm sure the interruption in the supply chain during COVID screwed Boeing probably on a lot of stuff, screwed many companies.
I agree, but I'm beginning to think I'm with Anna. There's got to be a systemic reason.
Boeing has even said they were getting out of space because they were spread too much. They were spread too thin, right?
Yeah.
And their quality was dropping because of that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a combination of all of it. Education, not building engineers and scientists, not being able to hire as many engineers and scientists of quality, not able to produce the different parts that are needed for that aircraft, yada yada yada.
Sure.
I call that systemic.
That's not a bad analogy. So Boeing and Air Force officials blame delays and cost overruns for the new Air Force One jets on higher than expected manufacturing costs, protracted negotiations with suppliers, other supply chain issues, engineering changes, and shortages of skilled workers with security clearances.
Yeah, there's that.
There we go.
There's so many free thinking adolescents that make mistakes and not consider the consequences, end up with a criminal criminal background and then can't get hired.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's the last part of this is, in other reports, the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, has noted other problems plaguing the new aircraft: wiring design issues, cabin noise from the environmental control system, delays in finalizing a testing plan, and stress corrosion cracks necessitating repairs.
Same with their spaceship. Put a piece of duct tape on that one.
Oh, it's crazy. It almost seems like Boeing has just become too big.
Yeah.
And there's no quality assurance. And they're just like, churn out the contracts. Just churn them out, baby. We'll get them.
Yeah.
And maybe it's catching up to them. I don't know.
I think so.
Like it. Yeah.
Yeah. They certainly have some bigger issues. That's for sure.
All right, Eric. Anna's yawning. That means it's time for history.
Yay!
Now that's a transition there. That's transition there, man.
You like that one?
All right, boys and girls. So the year is 1861.
Oh, I love these.
So what do we think we're talking about here?
If I could have some effects, it would be just like, let's go back.
1861, the nation was in turmoil as the Civil War ravaged the country. There was a Union blockade at the important port city of Hampton Roads. Do you guys recall the Battle of Hampton Roads?
No.
Okay. It was the ironclads, boys and girls. The ironclads.
Oh, you love these boats. I know
I do. It's freaking amazing that in 1861 we could come up with something. So there was a guy, President Lincoln called for the Naval Board to propose construction of an ironclad that could meet the South USS Merrimack.
Oh,
so they got a hold of
Merrimack.
Yeah.
And the Monitor, right?
Yep. So this was a Swedish-American inventor. He introduced a plan that caught the board's attention. The USS Monitor would be complete with a rotating gun turret, a low draft, sleek profile, and Ericsson's claim as an impregnable battery. Not so impregnable. However, it was a good idea.
Yeah.
So in 1861, on March, that's when it arrived. It was commissioned. I want to give you the date. It's this date in 1861. February 25th, it was commissioned to come on board. So,
okay.
Yeah. On March 8th in 1862, the Monitor arrived in Hampton Roads towards the end of dusk. At Hampton Roads, the Elizabeth and Nazeman rivers meet the James rivers just before they enter Chesapeake. Anyway, the Monitor and the Merrimack started exchanging. It goes on for a number of hours. They bounce freaking iron balls off each other.
Yeah.
And they both claim victory. The only reason the Monitor claimed victory was because it said that it prevented the Merrimack from destroying any other vehicles. So,
okay. All right.
The demise of the Monitor. What do you think happened to the Monitor?
Alligators.
Good answer. I like that. So the Monitor left Hampton Roads to head to new battles, and it was towed by a side-wheeler frigate called the USS Rhode Island. All was well until New Year's Eve of 1862, when they were off the coast of Cape Hatteras, North Carolina. A storm struck, the waves grew, the wind howled, the Monitor pitched and rolled, and she went down with 16 members of her crew.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
16 or 16?
16. So she was unable. So she didn't get destroyed in a battle, but she was very, very forward thinking in the production of new vessels, new ships.
But not as buoyant as you would want, obviously.
No. Well, and the flat seat profile wasn't designed to be in open ocean. It was supposed to be in the rivers, like the James. So the seas weren't crashing over.
Yeah.
Because water would go in through the frickin' turret. So you would almost think the Merrimack had a better opportunity because it was shaped like a triangle, and had
was it? Okay.
Batteries on both sides. So I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall and watch the battle. Boink.
Whatever happened?
Boink, boink, boink. Bing. Balls bouncing off. Bing. You didn't hurt us. That's too funny.
Whatever happened to the Merrimack? You should have I know I'm scratching deeper than the
surface
there, but I was wondering what happened to the Merrimack.
I'll send that to you later. I don't know what happened to the Merrimack, but it's funny how they both claimed victory.
Alligators.
Alligators.
In North Carolina.
I will tell you now that the Monitor lays
rivers.
The Monitor lays off at Camp Hatteras, North Carolina, in 200 feet of water, and is a water. What do they call it? Like a state park or preserve, because of the vessel still being on the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh.
They found it in 1973 and were able to identify it as the Monitor in 1973.
Early in 1965, Merrimack was reassigned to the East Gulf blockading squadron. She got underway for the Gulf early in February, but encountered extremely bad weather, which forced her to stop at Beaufort, North Carolina, on the 12th. Is it Beaufort? Beaufort?
I don't know. Maybe.
Underway for Key West the next day, Merrimack ran into still worse weather, which she fought until turning north on the 14th to seek the first port. On the afternoon of 15 February 1865, acting master William Earl ordered the crew to abandon ship after its tiller had broken, 2 boilers given out, and the pumps failed to slow the rising water. That night, when the crew had been rescued by mail steamer Morningstar, Merrimack was setting rapidly as she disappeared from sight. However, according to the Department of the Navy Historical Center, the ship sank on 15 January 1865.
How ironic is that they both succumbed to a storm?
They didn't shoot each other out of the water.
Couldn't hurt each other, but we just...
It's like too much metal.
Too much water. They couldn't figure out how to disperse that metal, man. Sink like rocks.
Amazing that they came up with a metal ship, back then.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about nothing but wooden hulls, and now you're just throwing big, heavy metal sheets of metal on it.
Yeah.
Come on. Crazy. Up armor. Tommy.
Maybe Boeing's problem is they don't have enough welders.
Could be a
quality welders. They have all the smart people trying to do it, but they don't actually have the...
They got smart people telling less smart people, but nobody's telling the welders. And the guys are like, what do you want me to weld? And they're like, we haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah.
Just weld.
Like be a cartoon.
Man.
Good one. Interesting. It's not one of your better ones, but it's a decent one. It's okay.
The fact that it was commissioned on this day, and it was solely built to meet the Merrimack. Lincoln was really, really worried about the Merrimack being able to run rampant upon his...
Which is crazy. It's like the Merrimack's just skulking, just chasing other ships away, I guess. I don't know.
So the Monitor had to step up and say, guys, we'll protect you.
We'll bounce some steel balls off of them. Don't worry about it. Bing,
bing. Bink, bink, bink. Crazy.
This is why I love Tuesday nights, because you guys make me laugh. You're friends. We have history, all that kind of stuff. But... And I'm worried about Jake. We might have to go do a health and welfare check on Jake.
Yeah, check on Jake.
Sure. It's weird. But should we call it end up? Unless you guys have anything with us. Let's call it end up. On behalf of Anna and Eric, I'd like to thank you for listening today. Please like, share, subscribe, and let us know how we did in the comments. And make sure next week that you are not late for changeover.
I like that. That's awesome.
That's Boeing flying into the air.
There you go.
Was that a window I just saw fall off of there?
Yes.
Yep.
And Eric, thanks for the week. And to all those listening and watching, thanks for watching and listening. And we'll see you next week.
Peace out, troops.